This millennium has officially entered the drinking age. It is 2021. And if you thought 2020 was drunk, well, 2021 just may be wasted. Journal entry number 2. Damn, why didn't you think of Clubhouse? You've been trying to build a software for so many years that people can use. What kept you from being able to build something like this? 1, the idea not executed on can be very expensive. Normally, I usually hear ideas are cheap, right? People say that you come up with ideas all the time. But what do you do with these ideas? If you're not acting upon them, well then, you may find yourself sitting there thinking, man, I thought about that 5 years ago. I'm not saying I thought of Clubhouse 5 years ago, but I spoke to one of my friends just last week, and he was saying how he thought of something similar just last year. We find ourselves in this situation quite often. We think of something, right, and then we don't do it. 5 years later, somebody else who thought of it actually pulled the trigger and executed on it. And we're like, damn, that was my idea, right? Sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes we maybe even tell our friends or our family some idea that we have, and they say it's a bad idea. And so we do nothing on it. Fast forward, years later, somebody else ignored these warnings, these warnings that was given to them by their peers, and they decided to go for it, right? How many times has that happened to you? At the end of the day, what is a good idea? What is a bad idea, right? We don't know the future, so I can't tell you that an idea is good or bad, right? Am I in the position of where you're trying to get to? I can't tell you that is a bad idea. Are your friends or family in a position of where you want to get to? Only you can decide what is good or what is bad. You can't let somebody else decide that for you, because when you go through your struggles, that person's not going to be struggling for you. You're going to be struggling to get to wherever you want to get to yourself. So, ideas are cheap, but if you don't execute them, it's going to cost you. Me, historically, I've always told myself, Sam, you don't come up with ideas. Man, my friend Paul is always thinking about ideas, or my sister Blessing is always thinking about ideas, but Sam, you don't think about ideas. First off, that is just negative self-talk. You got to stop that. The truth is, people think of ideas all the time. What is an idea in terms of potentially being a business for you? There's this book I was reading, The Art of Learning, and it's a thin book. But the first chapter of this book, among many things, it talks about how you know you have a potential business idea. And that's really just going through your day-to-day. And if you find yourself ever saying, I wish this did this, I wish this did something else, right? Man, I'm struggling here. I wish there was a solution for that. Well, that's a potential business idea that you have. When you bring the solution to it, I wish this did this, but now I know how to do it, right? Now that right there really is a potential business, because not only have you identified the problem, you've identified the solution. Now, I'm not going to say that business is going to make you money, that business is going to be successful. That is completely up to you, whether or not you do it, whether or not you execute, and amongst many other factors, possibly even luck included. But you do come up with ideas. And if you're having that problem, potentially other people are having that problem too. So 1, just be aware of those things that you occasionally wish for throughout your day. When you do have something like that, don't just let it go in passing. A lot of what you do is you think of these things and you don't sometimes even see any value in it. You just, I wish this, and just let it go. But why don't you be more intentional about paying attention to this conversation that you've had with yourself, and write down what it is that you're thinking of. Write down what you wish. Write down, if you came up with a solution, write it down on paper. You may not even think that it's a good idea right then and there, again, a good idea, but maybe the you 1 month later, or the you 1 year later will have a different mindset, be in a different headspace, different situation, be able to execute on whatever that thing is. And so whenever you think of something, just start making a list of wishes, business ideas. Just maybe once a month, go back and look at these things again. is you don't want to find yourself on the other side of the fence with the idea for Clubhouse or whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be anything grand like that, but you don't want to find yourself on the other side of the fence saying, man, I thought about that. That could have been me. It can be you. Just go for it. Execute. To build a community by bringing people together. A lot of the popular applications of today are really social media applications. They are a way of building a network of people, a network that really grows itself. And I'll get into that in a future video because I think that is an important concept. Facebook does it. MySpace did it, right? And now Clubhouse does that. Either way, they all bring people together in some form of fashion. Even if specifically your application isn't community based, think about how what you're doing can build a community in the future. I think that's a very important concept. No matter what you're doing, always keep community in the forefront of your mind. So that is it for week 2. Thanks for watching.